chỉ 2 viên mỗi ngày, các anh yếu đến mấy cũng khỏe, dứt điểm ngay tình trạng yếu sinh lý khó cương, giảm ham muốn, không phải lệ thuộc vào thuốc, an toàn lành tính và đặc biệt không gây tác dụng phụ.
Cái Trường Xuân Vương này là anh càng uống nó càng đầm và sức khỏe chung nó đi lên. Vì nó có tác dụng là tâm, can, tỳ, phế, thận thì nó tăng cường được cái sức khỏe chung. Chứ còn nếu mà chúng ta chỉ uống có để nó đi vào đường thận ấy thì mới chỉ là một vấn đề thôi.
Cái sản phẩm Trường Xuân Vương này từ khi tôi sử dụng thì tôi thấy sức khỏe rất tốt, chung là ngủ tốt, mà về bên đây sinh lý cũng rất tốt. Thì so với cái sản phẩm khác thì tôi thấy nó tốt rất nhiều, tốt hơn rất là nhiều.
Nhưng từ ngày ông uống cái thuốc này để là cái độ đi tiểu tiện nó ít đi. Thế thỉnh thoảng có gặp bà tí là vui vẻ, cái là ngủ là một mạch cho đến sáng luôn.
Sản phẩm Trường Xuân Vương này rất là tốt, thì tôi dùng khoảng độ được 2 tuần. Tôi thấy cảm thấy người nó khỏe khoắn ra, coi như cảm thấy đi lại với vợ nó khoan khoái hơn.
Với quan điểm nam dược trị nam nhân, các bài thuốc do bác sĩ Nguyễn Hữu Trọng nghiên cứu và điều chế hoàn toàn từ thảo dược thiên nhiên để cơ thể người bệnh tự sinh ra những chất cần thiết, chống lại sự già nua, suy giảm sức khỏe và sinh lý. Bên cạnh đó, thấu hiểu được nỗi lo lắng và sự vất vả của người bệnh trong quá trình điều trị, ông luôn đau đáu về việc làm sao để điều chế ra bài thuốc nhằm cung cấp cho người dùng tiện lợi, không phải sắc uống đỡ mất thời gian, lại đảm bảo an toàn vệ sinh tuyệt đối. Đó chính là lý do sản phẩm Trường Xuân Vương được ra đời bởi Viện Nghiên cứu Y học cổ truyền Sản phẩm hữu cơ Việt Nam do bác sĩ Nguyễn Hữu Trọng làm viện trưởng chuyển giao cho Công ty Cổ phần Phát Đạt sản xuất và phân phối, giúp hỗ trợ bổ thận, tráng dương, tăng cường khả năng sinh lý nam và hạn chế quá trình lão hóa, mãn dục nam.
Trường Xuân Vương là một sản phẩm do bác sĩ Trọng cùng các chuyên gia đầu ngành của Viện Nghiên cứu Y học cổ truyền Sản phẩm hữu cơ Việt Nam nghiên cứu từ thảo dược lành tính, không gây tác dụng phụ, cải thiện sinh lực nam một cách bền vững. Theo một cái đường dài thì tôi sẽ đi theo Trường Xuân Vương để có thể tăng cường sinh lực cho mình, giúp cho một cơ thể khỏe mạnh, cường tráng và tạo bớt đi cái áp lực công việc. Đặc biệt nữa là bí quyết có thể giữ được lửa hạnh phúc trong gia đình tôi.
Sản phẩm hỗ trợ tăng cường sinh lực khỏe mạnh trong thế giới hiện đại cũng rất là quan trọng. Tôi cũng đã biết về bác sĩ Nguyễn Hữu Trọng đã rất lâu rồi, rất ngưỡng mộ bác về cái công tác chuyên môn hàng chục năm trong lĩnh vực đông nam dược. Đây là một trong những sản phẩm cho nam giới tự tin hơn, mạnh mẽ hơn và đặc biệt là nó mạnh cả nghĩa đen lẫn nghĩa bóng.
Thế thì sau khi sử dụng sản phẩm được hơn 1 tháng thì tôi thấy là đặc biệt là cái tình trạng yếu sinh lý của tôi đã được cải thiện rõ rệt. Thế trước kia thì hai vợ chồng quan hệ là chỉ được 4 đến 5 phút. Nhưng bây giờ là đã quan hệ khoảng độ 15 đến 20 phút. Ngoài ra các cái triệu chứng ví dụ như là tiểu đêm, tiểu dắt và đau mỏi cơ thể là hoàn toàn biến mất. Để cảm thấy là rất là phấn khởi.
Tôi phải cảm ơn người vợ của tôi đã tìm cho tôi được một cái sản phẩm tuyệt vời. Bây giờ tôi cảm thấy là rất là tự tin, bản lĩnh đàn ông đầy mình luôn và cuộc sống gia đình cũng rất hạnh phúc.
Phải công nhận là cái sản phẩm này quá hiệu quả. Từ khi mà ông xã nhà tôi sử dụng cái sản phẩm Trường Xuân Vương này, ôi dồi ôi, lên vù vù, tôi thật sự choáng luôn ấy.
Sợ thật, công nhận là tuyệt vời đấy nha. Ông xã nhà tôi nha, ngày xưa chưa đi ra chợ là đã hết tiền rồi đấy. Thế nhưng mà bây giờ nha, 1 tuần được 2-3 lần và mỗi lần 15-20 phút.
Một ưu điểm ở cái sản phẩm này ấy, mà tôi tâm đắc nhất đó là có thể kết hợp dùng cùng với cả các loại thuốc được. Bà biết không, trước kia ông xã nhà tôi còn bị tiểu đường này, huyết áp này, mỡ máu này, mà còn kết hợp dùng với cả Trường Xuân Vương này, vô tư, không vấn đề gì cả. Đấy, tôi nói thật sự, cho nên cái sản phẩm này rất là công dụng.
I'm about to start pouring. Stone coat countertops. That was a lot. YouTube. I don't got everything unmasked. This came out nice. Boy, y'all know I like trying stuff. Y'all know I like trying stuff. And this came out nice. Look like an exotic piece of damn marble. That thing gonna be killer on the dashboard. Yes, sir. The door panels, the speaker pods. Now they all shiny now, but I got a top coat that I gotta put on them, which is a matte finish, so it won't be shiny. You'll still be able to see all the metallics and all the designs, but it's gonna have a matte finish. I gotta let it dry a little bit more, get harder. But yeah, once it get harder, I gotta go around, feather edge some of these parts, clean up in there where the little door bezels go. But man, tell me that ain't cool. Stone coat countertop epoxy. Yes, sir. I'm gonna go in there and paint all these little spots where the epoxy stuck to it and rip the paint up. Paint all this back black. Even though the speaker had most of it covered, I just wanted it to look uniform. I messed these speaker grills up, and then I had broke this one. So I think what I'm gonna do, I might try to cut these out and make one of the metal pieces. Put the metal speaker mesh in them, but I'm gonna paint it black. I think that's the move. See how they jump flow over the side? It's wicked. That's what I was saying about all the imperfections that it had. Like this filled all that up. I knew it was gonna come out good on this piece because this is like the flat surface piece, but these came out better than I expected. Especially this one, I like that one. Yeah, I can tell I used some of the paint that I painted Summer Rain with. Put that in the epoxy. I had tried to put a little bit of the glow in the dark effect, but last night I really couldn't tell if it was working, so. But I might end the video off right here. Go ahead and upload it, let y'all check that thing out. But yeah, that came out decent. Boy, I like that. The other side flowing too. Yes, sir. You see how it still got the drips down there? They ain't all the way hard. It's gonna get rock hard. The epoxy resin get rock hard. Solid. But I just went on ahead and unmasked everything, So when these pieces do get rock hard, I can go through, sand them all down smooth, get everything feather edge smooth, and then I paint in here, all the parts where the paint peeled up when I was peeling the epoxy off and the tape, I paint in there. But man, these came out nice as hell. And it was fun to do. Like I said, man, Stone Cold Countertop Epoxy, them videos be popping up on YouTube all the time. So I always wanted to use this shit. And this shit is fun, came out good. I just need a better setup. It's too fucking compact up here on my balcony. That's why your boy been working hard, yo. I'm telling you. House coming soon, garage coming soon. That way I'll be able to drop this content at least 2-3 videos a week, dog. I'm telling you.
Front side. Yeah, that's how you do the lower block. So the second technique is oizuki. Oi means to follow, tsuki means to punch. So it's the second movement of Heian Shodan. After your lower block, you have the oizuki. You're following the opponent with a punch. 2 points to consider. Number one, you have to have your pelvis facing straight when you finish punching. So from here, you don't want your body to be facing sideways. You want your belly button to be faced forward. In order to do that, from here, first, your leg moves, and as your back leg passes the front leg, your belly button is gonna face the left side. However, you snap this back to the front to punch. So if I do it slowly, it's like this. That's how you create that last snap. To move your hips sharper, use the back knee. So from here, the leg passes your front leg, and use this bent knee and straighten it to turn your hips. This motion. So from here, after the low block, gedan barai, your hips face a little to the side and snap back in place. Like this. Point 2, keep your hikite until the very end. Hikite means a pullback hand. So keep the position of your hand right here and release at the very end. So from here, keep it here, and at the end release. Don't release your arm here, because otherwise you're gonna end up in a really short and slow punch. So keep this till the end and release at the very last moment. So next technique is age-uke. Age means up and uke means to block. So this is basically upper block. So this is the motion you see. You have 3 of these in Heian Shodan. The point you should consider is, first, cross your arm in front of your chest. So from your gedan barai, first you put your hand up and you block. Make sure your wrist crosses in front of your face and you block up. And also watch my elbows. My elbows they don't open like this. They close. Close, and then you block up. So from here, don't let your arms go wide. Have them close to the center and block. Point 2, before you block, make sure you open your arm. Basically, someone's punching you and you're grabbing their hand and pulling it towards your body, and you're breaking his wrist like this. So someone punches you, grab, and then you're breaking it. So make sure before you do the actual block, you open your hand and block. Open and then block. Point 3, always block with your wrist. You can practice that by having one partner punch to your face and you going down to block. Make sure you contact their wrist with your wrist. So those are the 3 points for ageuke. So the next technique is shitouke. Shito means a knife hand and uke means to block. Make sure your shitouke first should be formed like this in this picture and not like this. So your fingers are tucked in so that it doesn't get in the way of the punch. Point 2, just like you did in the gedan barai, make sure before the shitouke, you close your arms like this. So your elbows are touching each other and you're blocking.
Ain't got the space to do it at the crib. It's summer rain all the way across town at my uncle's house. Summer rain is definitely a show car. A lot of this stuff I wouldn't do to other cars, but just because that's my baby, she a show car, man, I'm making her look awesome, and this is cool as hell. So the wood grain gotta go. All the little wood grain that's on the dashboard and on the doors, I got something for that too. So there ain't gonna be no wood grain in her. Gots to go. I know that light. Y'all don't say nothing about my drips now. She ain't finalized. But I'm gonna have to let her sit for about another day or so. They dry enough for me to take in the house. I'm gonna take them in the crib. We'll find a corner in here, let them sit for a day, let them get nice and warm, heat it up. And then I'll do the top coat. I have them ready by the next video when I be back over there at Aunt's house getting busy. I got a lot to do. I got the Dakota Digital. I got all my music. Only thing I got all my music other than the 415s. I still gotta order the subs. But I got all the amps, I got the batteries, got all the wires, the head unit. It's go time. And I'm still waiting on the rotating assembly from Texas Speed. I think I'm gonna call their ass today. Today makes 6 weeks. I was gonna wait till at least 8, but hell, I might give them a holler today. See what they got going on. But that dash, hell, man. I gotta get it. I need better setup, better lighting, man. Look at this shit, it's hard. What did I sand them all down smooth? Hit them with that top coat, that matte finish. Oh, man. Throw the bezels in there, speakers in there. The top part, all right, so the top part's on. All right, so Steve Davis, he sell the ones, I think he make them out of wood, and they got the light in them. Woo, I got to have some. Got to have some. Yes, sir. Because another reason why I want them, for the back, I'm gonna see if he can make it the way I can put my my window switch right here, cause that's how it is on the front ones. The window switch is up here, and then these switches right here, well, the lock switch is up here, and the window switches and stuff is right there. But yeah, I'm gonna see if he can put my window switch in that thing. But yeah, man, tell me what y'all think about them, man. I try not to do too much color. I got carried away with that green over here. It's called like a blue-green. I ain't want to go too many colors. So I just threw that green in there with that blue, that black, and that silver. Yeah. I think she hit with summer rain though. I'm about to go ahead and upload this video. It's supposed to upload over the weekend. Today, Monday. So I'm gonna go ahead and finalize it and drop it. I know y'all be on my ass about these videos. But your boy be working, dog. When it's time to make some money, I gotta go get that money. I be doing this shit for fun, and most of the time this shit costs money. But yeah, I got to have me a house, dog. Alright. Like, share, comment, subscribe. Let me know what y'all think, dog. Let me know. And I'm gonna get back with y'all on the next video.
Well, I think this would be a first. So we've got 2 cars in the workshop on rotisseries at the same time, because I normally only do 1 car at a time and I only have the 1 rotisserie, but Adam and Kylie have the same one. So they've brought theirs down with all their bracketry that they made to put the car on it, and the reason I'm doing that now is I need to get the chassis painted, so that's over here. So it's in bare metal, so I need to really get that sealed up. So we're going to pull the front off it, and I'll get that into CF black epoxy, and because it's got to go back over once we get the underside done. So what you've seen us do inside the car, we're now going to do underneath, and then we'll seal that up with urethane before it goes into stone guard. So I'll get some of that done this week with Steve, and I've taken the opportunity this week, Darren's here this week for a couple of days, so I've taken the opportunity to get the outside finished, a lot of the little bits and pieces in around the door jambs, and now we'll get it up on its side and get underneath done, and then it goes into poly before it goes back together to get blocked out again. So along with all that underside of the car, what we're in the process of doing is cleaning up all of the suspension components. So things like this that are bare metal, so we'll give that a good clean up first to make sure we get all the greases and oils off it, because you can actually feel it's like quite greasy. And then once again we'll go CF black, and then I'll put some base coat and then some matte or satin clear.
Now that you've seen the overall direction of the movement, I'll be taking 2 points that you should consider when doing this kata. The first important point is to use your hips wisely. So from here, don't just drop down. You want that momentum to be on your arm, so shift your hip to the side and then snap it back. So it's 1, 2, 1, 2, and perform this fast and go. So that's the first one. The second tip is the gyakugoshi, or the reverse hip movement. From the shitoge, where you go to the front, you perform this block. And your hip shouldn't be just straight, it's reversed. To have this position, the key point is your hikite. So pull back your hikite as much as you can to twist your body like this, so that you can prepare for the next kick. So the first bunkai is the first arm sequence. So the opponent attacks, you block it with this arm, and as he attacks, you step in a bit forward as you evade the punch with this arm, and you attack with the bottom, and then you attack his neck. That's the first one. The second one is where the kiai is. So from here, you snap his attack down with this motion and aim for his throat to attack. So those two are the applications of Heian Nidan. So that you don't forget, let's review the kata one last time. First, bow to the front, cross your arm, say the kata name, block to the left, use your hips here, hit him, and then tetsuyuchi to the chin. One more time to the opposite side. Get your legs together and keage, shitoge. One more time, one last time, and then a nukite to the throat. This is an attack. Turn around, shitoge. Make sure the weight is on the back leg.
From here, shitoke 45 degrees to the front. Turn all the way back to the side. Shitoke 45 degrees. And then a gyaku goshi uchiuke. Make sure your upper body stays the same. Kick, punch, turn, and block. One more time. Kick, punch, and then a moroteuke, which is a double block. Turn around, gedan barai, and then 45 degrees to the front, ageuke. Make sure your hikite stills until the very end. Gedan barai, and then a kiai with the ageuke. Make sure you go back slowly, and then at the end, bow.
해양 타당! Die!
Now I'll share you 6 tips that you must know to perfect your Heian Sandam. So the first tip is the hikite. So from the very first stance, you do a block to the left. And to make this strong, you have to pull back really strong with the other hand. If you see from the front, if your elbow is out like this, then make sure this ends right here. So from the hand here, pull back straight, okay? Don't do this. Pull back straight and bam. So slide it alongside your body. So the next point is this, after the first block. So let me show you the hand gestures first. So from here, first, your left hand goes inside. So from here, like this. So my left is right between my right hand and my left hand. From here, slide and block. And let's pay attention to the wrist rotation. So from here, both of your thumb is faced to your body, right? And from here, this is going to have this rotation. So from here, it's ba, ba. As for the right hand, this is going to turn like this, just like knocking a door. So the power is going this way, like this. So connect this and block. So to make this strong, wrist rotation. And the second point is how you have to overlap your elbows. So from here, if these are open like this, then your power is going to go too far to the right and the left. So what you want to do is you want the power to go forward and sideways at the same time. So make sure your elbows cross and you rotate. This will make the spinning circle really small right in the center of your body, so you'll be able to have a strong block. So that goes the same when you turn and do it the other way too. So the next tip is the nukite, or the spear hand. So from here, you block the attack down and you attack like this. I want to talk about the timing of when you release your right hand. So from here, make sure you release it at the last moment. Down, and then you release. I see some people doing this. Like that. See how the release was a bit earlier? You want all your power to explode at the very end. This goes the same with tsuki, punches, kicks, or anything that you do in karate. So from here, make sure you block and then have a small pause. So from here, ba, and then you release. Next, I'll be talking about this spinning motion. There are 2 tips for this. First, you have to turn your head first, meaning from here, if your body goes and then your head moves, it's going to be very hard for you to turn. So make sure you see where you're going first. So from here, your head goes first and then your leg goes. So if I do it fast, like this. The second tip is your hand motion of the front hand. So from here, this goes like this. So someone grabs you. We're going to cover this in detail in the bunkai section. But someone grabs you and you're getting their hand away. So you need this turn. So don't just do this. Make sure you're turning and getting their hand away from your wrist. So connect those two, this and the turning head first, and apply it.
Some things like I'm doing now, I'll just use the normal standard mix, but you can activate it so that it will go off. But if you've got any paint left over, then it's obviously going to dry and be finished with. Once again, it gives you all the information you need. And when we look down here to overcoat time, we're looking at 15 minutes before we can go to clear coat. So we've got a 5 to 10 minute flash off and then 15 minutes before clear coat. And I think this just highlights that if you've got one bracket to do and you're going to do 2 coats of epoxy, 2 coats of colour, black on black you probably only need 1, and then 2 coats of clear, all those wait times, you've probably got about 2.5 hours. So if you take a part to your panel beater and ask him to paint one part, understand why the guy is going to frown on you, because it's going to take him 2 to 3 hours of process and it's hard to walk away and go and do something else. So ideally you try and fill the booth up and do it all at the same time. Now the reason I'm using a clear coat is this particular product. So there's a semi-gloss and a matte in the Deltron obviously, and it's D8115-117. This product was developed for all of these matte cars that have come out. When you look at the sheet here, it'll actually show you Lamborghini, Mercedes, Smart, BMW. So all these cars that are coming out from the factory with a full body matte finish, that product's got to be very durable and it's got to obviously match what the factory had done. So this is PPG's product, and by mixing 50-50 of these two you end up with that factory look. I like that look for things like what I'm doing now, suspension and brackets, but I also find probably within a week of it being painted it goes very, very hard and is very durable for using on parts like I'm doing now. So that's why I'm using a clear coat. And it's probably a little bit more expensive than if you're just going to go and do a direct gloss with a bit of mattening base, but this will give you a better job. There you go, so that's a really nice durable finish, and a nice satin appearance. Really does come up nice. Taking the opportunity to come up to PPG this morning up here at the training centre and have a talk to John. Morning, John.
Morning.
So we spent about an hour in the traffic this morning, which was fun. You love Sydney, don't you?
Yeah, it was great.
But I mean, that's part of what happened. So the reason I wanted to come up here is there's this whole myth about the products that we all use in the industry, and I really want to have a chat to you about, we're at that stage now where we're doing epoxies and sealing all these different substrates, as you guys call them. Which is, you know, the steel and the aluminium and all those things. And I've always found it interesting, and I hear a lot of debate about the fact that there's so many different products.
Yeah.
And I'd like to get a bit of feedback from you. And the reason I'm talking to John is John and I have worked together for 25, 30 years on various projects, and John's been at PPG that long, but he's also a qualified spray painter.
Yeah.
And then worked in the training part of PPG and then product development, and of course now in sales. So he's got a lot of knowledge and a lot of background and seen a lot of these products evolve over the years. And the thing I'd like to talk to you about, John, is right from the start where we go acid etchers, epoxy primers, CF primers, high build primers, there's all these different things. So if we can initially to talk about mild steel firstly, and that process of those different primers that you have, and why we're using them.
Yeah, look, I think where I'm fortunate is I get to see the product in development phase and understand why is it we need to bring out a new epoxy or an etch primer. And a lot of it's based on either a customer requirement, customer request, substrate request. You know, substrates keep changing.
And if I can cut you off for a second, when you're talking customer, you're talking Ford or
customer
GM or someone.
Customer is Ford, it's Howard Astle, it's the guy in the panel shop, it's the guy.
Obviously, you're not going to create a product just for me, but realistically,
for the Howard Astles,
types,
that's right. Who are out there, you know, building cars and you know, recreating cars and restoring cars. So, you know, if you look at a car that's being restored, you know, you might have bare steel, you might have galvanized steel, aluminium, fiberglass. So it's difficult to say, look, just use that one product, and that's all you'll have to use, because, you know, you'll say, look, John, I'm doing a car inside, I just want to put an epoxy on that's shiny and not have to touch it. So, okay, I can't give you this one, but I can give you this one.
Yep.
You know, because this will do what you require. So it's about making sure we've got a product that will cater to what the people that are restoring the cars, repairing the cars, rebuilding the cars, what is it they need. And
or building a truck, because I mean this is where a lot of the products come from. So
right.
Just if we can try and, you know, shorten it, but like an acid etch.
Yeah.
Explain to me an acid etch.
So
just explain to these.
So there's a little bit of misunderstanding as well in terminology. So people go, you didn't use an etch. So an etch, people are saying something that will stick to the metal. Okay, so an acid etch primer is designed especially for aluminium and hard to stick to substrates, surfaces. So
like a galvanized, so like a fuel tank.
Fuel tank, right? You know, if you're doing an old Bentley or an old you know, relic that's made from complete aluminium surface, you would put an acid etch because you would get better adhesion to that particular substrate. You know, people want to paint engines and like an araldite, you can put a coat down and you can paint over it. So in the truck world, they use these type of epoxies to put colour over the epoxy. With our world, we want to put body filler on. So these are a bit stickier and chewier. What we want is something that's harder and we can sand, so we use the isocyanate-based hardener. So DP616.
Righto, so that solves that. So CF is great, and I just did a whole lot of brackets and things for the muscle car yesterday actually. And I like that because I can then put base coat and then use the satin clear. Gives me a nice hard surface. I don't plan on rubbing it at all. It's like bang, bang, bang and the job's done. When we go then into epoxy urethane primer, and obviously DP616 is what we're using on this car, and I've been using it forever and I love the product. I'm not going to go into that now. But there are other epoxies. So there's the 2K, which is the Epotec.
Yep, Epotec, from our Protec range,
Now, it's a different product again to the DP616.
Yeah.
Explain us a little bit about what the
Epotec's a great product. Again, been around for a long time, but it goes rock hard. It's fantastic. If you want to paint on an undercarriage or internal areas or just paint something that you don't want to coat, the Epotec's great. You know, you can use that, but when you try and sand it, it's quite hard.
So is there a timeline with that? Does it go hard straight away? Or if I know a lot of people use it on the outside. A lot of sandblasters use it. It's very cost effective. They'll put it on the outside. If you've got that on, if you use it on the outside of a car, of a build, is there a timeline where it's not too bad to sand and then it goes hard, or is it pretty much hard?
Once it cures, it's hard. It goes rock hard. And the other thing with something like that epoxy is you can't use it wet on wet with a spray polyester.
Right.
So here's where DP616 comes in. We can put body filler hand applied over it. We can use it wet on wet with spray polyester, with primer, so it's a bit more universal.
Yep.
Whereas something like Epitech is not as universal. And then an etch primer is basically only has one function, to stick to the metal.
So I like the 616 primarily because I can put it on. If I want to do a little bit of welding on the edges, it doesn't fry up. It just changes to a red colour and it's really functional that way. But it doesn't, I'm not looking for a massive amount of build film out of the epoxy, which I've spoken to other custom guys and they like the Epitech because it gives them some build.
Yeah.
Should they be using it to get build, or is that just the nature of the product?
It depends what you want the build for. If you just want to paint it and leave it, the build's good. But you know, if you're ready to prime the job or spray poly it, you can put a coat of the 616 on. In 20 minutes, you know, you can have a good look at it and say, am I ready to prime it? Have I missed something? Did I miss a ripple? Did I miss some deep scratches? You can give it a quick sand.
Yep.
You know, so you've still got that option. Once you put an amine epoxy on or the Epitech type epoxy, then it's wet for a long time. You've got to wait for it to completely chemically dry, and then you've got to sand it and start again.
Okay, so just to sort of recap, because this gets a little bit confusing. So we've got the acid etch for the hard stuff, and we go to an epoxy, and we've got a couple of different products there, or 3 different products, the CF, for the brackets and the industrial chassis, those sorts of things. When we then go to that next stage, I like to use the epoxy almost like a trace coat. So I'll do the 616, then I'll do my filler, then I'll do epoxy again, and I use normally a 1.4, or I know it probably should be a 1.8, because I'm just looking to get a nice coat on there to seal it off, and if I'm happy, I'm ready to go.
Yeah, sure.
And I'm not looking to get a whole lot of build film out of the epoxy, because I'm either going to prime it with a high build primer, or if I think I need to, depending on the job, I'm going to go with a poly.
Yeah.
And a poly, guys, is basically filler in the gun, isn't it?
Absolutely. Yeah, liquid body filler.
Liquid body filler.
Yeah.
So,
And Akibadachi. Next, I'll be talking about this block. This one. This, what you're doing is you're blocking their attack with your elbow. So, like this. And to generate a lot of power onto this elbow, you must turn at the last moment. So from here, your hip is facing forward first. As you get your leg up, this still faces forward. And after a small shift of your body weight to the front, then you twist. So don't start twisting when you start moving, meaning don't do this. That way, there's no distinct end to your technique. So make sure you shift forward a little bit and then you turn. From here, forward, and then turn. So that's how you generate that last snap. This goes the same for the other 2 after it. So from here, you face forward, and then keep your hips facing forward, and then turn at the last moment. Next, I'll be talking about this oizuki. This one. So I think it's very hard because you have to move from a horse stance or kibadachi to front stance or zenkusudachi. The transition here, to make it smooth, let's focus on this leg. So make sure you turn this forward. So right now my body weight is right here in the center, but if I move this, it shifts to the right, which gives me the initial boost to move to a front stance. So from here, release this, move your body to the right, and connect it to a punch. If you don't do it, your right leg is going to be stuck here. So from here, if you don't release this, there's no way your body's going to smoothly move forward. So make sure you pay attention to that. Now to the last attack of this. There are 2 attacks, punch and this elbow. But let's pay attention to the leg movement. from here, so my left leg is here right now. Your right leg moves along this line, so horizontally. From here, don't step too far. Make sure you step this here alongside the left leg, and you turn like this. So from here on the same line, pa. So make sure this doesn't go too back or too far to the front, and apply the attack. Like this. Alright, so the first bunkai is from here to this. Let me show you how you can apply it. So from here, someone attacks you, you block, and then since this was a block, but in the bunkai, maybe you can do this. So attacking with your fist. This is called a uraken uchi. So let's do it once. Like this. So the idea here is, from here, since this became an attack, you want to utilize your hips. So from here, make sure you get the power onto your hikite here, and release at the very end. Turn your hip and attack. Maybe you can, you don't have to do this. Maybe you can step a bit forward. So one last time. So the next bunkai is this spin. I think this is kind of confusing, right? So let me show you how you can apply it. So let's say you do a nukite, but he backs up and he grabs your wrist like this. So what you're doing is, you're turning this first like this. So that's why you need this turn, not like this. So you turn, spin, and then you hit him right here. So let me do it quickly. Now on to the detailed tips to perfect your kata. The first point is this slow movement. This seems easy, but the slower the movement, the harder it gets. You want to
break components and all different types of...
So if you use an acid etch, what then goes over that? Because being an acid, obviously there's limitations in what can go over.
An acid etch you would use and then prime over it. You know, but if you want to use body filler, you wouldn't mix it with acid etch primers. They're not very compatible. The actual...
So if I've got an old fuel tank and it's Galvo, and I acid etch it, and I want to put some filler in it, what do I do then? Epoxy over the acid etch?
Epoxy over the acid etch.
Okay.
So it would be a two-step process, and then you would be safe.
Okay. And obviously we can go and read the data sheets about when and how long.
So if you're using an acid etch or an epoxy, basically you want it to stick to the surface. So an acid etch is good because if the surface is 95% clean, it'll work its way through and stick. Epoxy's like a really good clean surface to stick to.
And
but they both do the same
explained to
thing.
me before, epoxy's more like a glue.
Yes.
Than something that's biting in.
That's right. So it sticks to the surface, it bonds chemically versus an acid etch.
Okay. So epoxy now is the word we see a lot of.
Yeah.
And it's sometimes just if we can try and shorten it, but like an acid etch.
Yeah.
Explain to me an acid etch.
So
just explain to these guys.
So there's a little bit of misunderstanding as well in terminology. So people go, you didn't use an etch. So an etch, people are saying something that will stick to the metal. Okay, so an acid etch primer is designed especially for aluminium and hard to stick to substrates, surfaces. So
like a galvan, so like a fuel tank.
Fuel tank, right? You know, if you're doing an old Bentley or an old you know, relic that's made from complete aluminium surface, you would put an acid etch because you would get better adhesion to that particular substrate. You know, people want to paint engines and brake components and all different types of.
So if you use an acid etch, what then goes over that? Because being an acid, obviously there's limitations in what can go over.
An acid etch you would use and then prime over it. You know, but if you want to use body filler, you wouldn't mix it with acid etch primers. They're not very compatible. The actual.
So if I've got an old fuel tank and it's galvo, and I acid etch it, and I want to put some filler in it, what do I do then? Epoxy over the acid etch?
Epoxy over the acid etch.
Okay.
So it would be a two-step process. And then you would be safe.
Okay. And obviously we can go and read the data sheets about when and how long.
So if you're using an acid etch or an epoxy, basically you want it to stick to the surface. So an acid etch is good because if the surface is, you know, 95% clean, it'll work its way through and stick. Epoxy's like a really good clean surface to stick to.
And
but they both do the same
explained to me
thing.
before, epoxy is more like a glue.
Yes.
Than something that's biting in.
That's right. So it sticks to the surface, it bonds chemically versus an acid etch.
Okay, so epoxy now is a word we see a lot of.
Yeah.
And it's sometimes part of a bigger name, and sometimes it's just epoxy.
Yeah.
So I know with the products I've been or have used, so there's the CF Black I use a lot of if I'm doing brackets and things, which comes out of the industrial, so trailers and truck chassis and those sorts of things. So what's the structure of that?
So there's two types of epoxies. There's an amine, which is like araldite glue, and then there's the one that we use in the custom world, which has an isocyanate hardener. So just quickly, CF is chromate free. Chromates were banned. So you have to have a chromate free product, and that's what the CF stands for.
Okay.
Nothing more.
There you go, I learn something every day.
So something easy, right? So if you have an amine cured epoxy.
Show in this part that you're able to use your whole body onto the one kime. So this is a bad example. You can't see any ending to this motion. Rather, start slowly and rotate your hip, your knees, bend a little bit more, and your hand comes in place. And you saw that slow kime, right? I was able to finish moving like that. The other side too. So don't just move your arms slowly. Move your whole body slowly. The second point is making this MP really strong. So in order to do this, you have to flick back your kick first. So from here, make sure you flick back your kick all the way to here so that you can shift your body weight forward. If your kick is out here and you don't pull back, you just drop down. But you want your MP to go this way, right? So don't just drop down. Make sure you pull back and then you push your weight forward. And also, when you finish the kick and do the MP, bend this part down, like this. If this becomes straight, then your power is going to go up. But since you want it to go to the side, make sure you bend here at the very end, and then bend. The third point is this block to an attack combination. So from here you go this one. In order to make this strong, you must generate the power from the lower body to this attack. So what you're doing is you're hitting their neck like this. So make sure when you do the MP, your front knee is bent, okay? And from here, turn your toes this way with the heel on the ground. And turn this first. Extend your knee forward. The hip turns. And the power gets to your hand. So one more time. Toes, knees extend, and then to the arm. and connect it in a single motion and go like this. And make sure this is bent as well. If this is not bent, the motion is going to go up. So make sure your head level stays the same by bending this one. Like this. The next point is the position of your feet when you do the kiai. So from here, you kick and you land. The position of your feet is this. My right leg is forward and my left toes are slightly touching my right heel. This is the correct position of this kosadachi. When you look at it from the front, your thighs should be closed like this. And to have this closed, your left toe and your right heel has to be touching each other. So from here, make sure when you kick, you get your thighs together. Next, I'll be talking about this hand gesture. So after this, you turn to the back and you do this. This, what you're doing is you're getting the hand away when someone's trying to grab you, like this. So your hand has to be on the same surface like this. So make sure it's not like that. And also, just like the first movement, you want to show that you're able to generate this kime really slowly. So from here, make sure you turn the hand to the front first and slowly evade the attack. So the next point is after this block, this oizuki. I think you should focus on getting the gyakugoshi, which means the reverse hip rotation when you do the oizuki. What I mean by that is, from here, if you don't use your hips, this is what it looks like. My hips are open like this. But since this is an oizuki, you want to end like this. So how do you do that? Well, from here, when you kick, your hips are forward. But when you start moving a little bit forward, your hip shifts a little this way, right? But you fix that by extending the back leg like this. From here, this is a bit difficult. Kick, hip straight, hip face a little this way. But since your back leg is bent, you push this and you punch. So I think you saw that last snap. So if I do it smoothly, it's
Alright, YouTube, this how I look after 3 coats of the black primer. Now I'm about to hit it with this satin black interior paint from Sim. A lot of people be calling it dye. It clearly says on the back, color coat is not dye. It don't matter. I got something that's going on top of them anyway, but I'm about to slap y'all back on the time lapse and go ahead and knock it out. Well, that might not be able to work on this can. She don't want to clamp right. Okay, there she go. Alright, YouTube, this how everything look after one coat of that sim or satin black. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna hit it with another coat. And once everything dry, I'm gonna take it back up there on the balcony and I'll cut y'all on when it's time to go to the next step. Alright, YouTube, I got these things upstairs, back on the balcony, and I got them prepped for what I'm about to finish them with. So what I got right here is some epoxy, stone coat countertops epoxy. I be on YouTube. Yo, they make the craziest things look like marble, bro. So what I'm about to do is I'm about to make my dash and my door panels look like marble. About to try to anyway. Got my cups and everything set up. Got some different colors. Different colors. You know, I want the marble to look like. I'm about to get busy. I even got some of the paint that I use to paint the Chevy. Got some of that too. I'm gonna put some of that with the epoxy. Oh, motherfucker. Get the silver. And I'm gonna get this glow effect. Alright, if I use this.
So from here, let's say your left hand is up, make sure this is tucked together, and you block. Point 3, snap your hips sideways at the end. So from here, even if I do it in the same spot, first my hips are facing a little to the front, and you snap it to the side, like this. If I do it in oizuki situation, from here, face your hips to the front first, and snap sideways. Front, sideways. Front, sideways. Front, sideways. Make sure you're able to use this snap. When you move forward in karate, just one simple rule that you have to remember. Always bend your front knee. From here, make sure you bend this even more to push yourself forward. If you don't use the bent knee, then you have to rely on the back leg, like this. Like that. But you don't want to kick the ground, so make sure bend this leg to push yourself forward. So the main engine is your front knee. When you turn in Shotokan, don't lift your heels up. Let's say from the 5th, so after the Gedanbare, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and you go to the front, focus on my back leg. From here, make sure this doesn't pop up, that it stays here, and you rotate on the heel. The reason is you want your body to be moving forward. So I'll show you an example of turning on my toes and my heels. So from here, I'll be going this way. See where my body ends up. First example is on my toes. From here. So my head is right here. I guess it's on the line. So now, from the same position, I'll turn on my heels. See, my head is over the line, right? So in Shotokan, please turn on your heels. To do that, when you get your body this way, make sure you're bending this leg. Bend this. And put your weight on the back leg to turn. When you finish your kata, make sure you remember the concept of zanshin. Zan means to remain or to keep still, and shin means the heart. So the last movement of Heian Shodan is here. After the last technique, don't just end like this. Do the technique, keep your eyes on the target, and slowly move back in place and set your sight to the front. So now it's the fast version.
Yeah, so we'll show you that process as well. Righto, so I said I'd show you the process. So these are all those parts. So some had paint on them that sanded up really good, and others, and this one here was the same. So it's even almost like an E-coat. So I've just sanded those, and then the others are all bare metal that we've either taken the paint off them or they were just cast. Now, I'm going to repeat myself over and over and over on this show, but not everybody watches every episode. Cleanliness. So prep sole, they've been done already. I'm ready to paint now, so I'm going to go over and wipe them all again, and then I'm going to go over with a tack rag or a tack cloth. This is the Mercer brand one. I never realised just how big an influence these can have on the quality of your work. So you go over and blow them off with air, and then paint them, so I'm going to wet on wet this through 3 stages. Any little tiny bit of dust is going to build up and get worse. So I'll run over with compressed air and a tack rag and wipe all of those parts down. And then I'll start with the products. So I'm going to use the CF Black Epoxy, then we'll go base coat, and then we'll go with the Satin Clear. This is a good one where you've got to be careful. So we've got the data sheet, but when we read here again, and what I've already showed you is the flash off time's only 3 to 5 minutes. If you're using as a wet on wet paint system, which is what we're doing, we've got to allow 30 minutes air dry at 25 before top coating. So I'm going to use base coat now, which is a top coat. So now I need to wait 30 minutes before I can now apply that base coat over the top of the epoxy. Righto, so more data sheets. So the base coat is, you can mix that 2 ways. You can mix it just as a normal base coat, which is half thinner, half paint. But you can also, as a standard, but you can also activate. So you can actually add a hardener to it. Now, we did that a bit with some of the work we did on Boss XC. Helps with adhesion a little bit, just doing bracket.
Like that. Like this. The last point is this block while moving forward. To make this strong, you must turn your hip at the very end and move the hand the other way. So it's a bit confusing, so let's take a step by step. So let's say you start here. First, let's do the legs. Your legs go together, straight, 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 and then turns. Straight, 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 turn. I did a detailed cover in the Kokusudachi video, so please check that out for the more detail. But this is the overall leg movement. So how does your arm move? Well, from here, first, when your legs go together and they face forward, your arms turn the other way. So it's to the left side. And when your hip turns this way, your arm goes this way. So it turns the other way. So see how my hips went like this, but my arms went this way. It's the same with the other side as well. So make sure you're using that twist to the other way to generate power. Next is the bunkai. The first one we're going to be doing is in the kata is this. So how do you apply this in the bunkai? Well, this is what you do. So you block. First he punches, you block. This is obvious. In the kata it was a block, but let's pull back the hand and hit him right here, between the eye and the ear. So it's ba, ba. So one more time. Like this. The second bunkai, we're going to be using from here this as the bunkai. So let me show it to you first. So what I'm doing here is this. So someone punches, you block just like the kata. From here, you take their dogi, you knee them in the stomach. Well, since I couldn't do it full speed, I did it a bit slowly. And then you get your leg behind their knee, and since you're holding onto the dogi already, you just swipe and punch. So it's pretty simple, but I think this is one of the interesting sides of bunkai, where in the kata it was just this, but this is actually a throw. So okay, so for the first point,